on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hashtag Truth. Tonight we have the one, the only Randy Wayne. How are you doing, sir?
Good, Scott. How are you, man?
I am doing great. I've been looking forward to this for a little over a month now. We've crossed paths, made some dates, and family stuff comes up and things like that. And I understand perfectly, but we finally got you here, and that's what counts, man. I appreciate you being on Hashtag Truth.
No problem, man. I apologize for the miscommunication and everything before. Sorry to waste your time those nights.
Nah, it wasn't no waste of time. We had other people jump in. That's the one thing I do like about this show now. I've gotten out there enough that, not saying I didn't want you on the show, because I definitely did, but other people hopped right in there, bro, and got on there, and I'm proud that I'm making enough headway that wrestlers want to be on my show.
That's a good thing.
That is. So let's start off the same way I start off with everybody else, brother. How'd you get into wrestling? How long have you been in it? You know how the drill goes.
Yeah, it's in October of 2004, I met Killer Tim Brooks at VFW in Waxahachie, Texas, and I tell the story all the time, and a lot of people have heard it, but it's always funny to me because I recognized him from my childhood, at the Sportatorium when I would spend summers in Texas with my mother. And so I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, are you Killer Tim Brooks?" And he looks at me and he goes, "I'm what's left of him, brother." And, we got into a conversation and he started telling me about his training school and everything. And I hadn't been out of the Marine Corps very long. And by that point, I was almost 30 years old. The old man, he cornered me out of his bar tab, and I paid for his meal. And the next day, I paid to train, and I've been hooked ever since. So it's kind of the way it went. October 2004 till now. It's about. I'm not a mathematician, so 12, 14 years, something like that.
Almost 15, brother.
Yeah. The thing is, for me, is like I don't count a lot of that, man. A lot of these guys don't understand just because you wrestle. That many years per se doesn't mean that you've actually wrestled that many years. If you wrestle once or twice a weekend, maybe once or twice a month, that doesn't equate to full time. So When people ask me how long I've done this, I've done it since then, but it's not accurate as far as, the old days go and the way those guys did, working 6 days a week and then twice on Sunday. So it's a lot different business now.
Brandon Ledford said thank you for your service, and I thank you also. I was in the U.S. Navy, so awesome.
You're welcome, Brandon. Thank you. And I won't hold the Navy against you.
My dad was a Marine for 11 years, brother. I hear it every day.
Well, then he will agree with me when he tells you that you guys are just a technological taxi cab and we have to go whip somebody's ass.
You guys are the men's department. Yeah, I get the whole 9 yards, brother. Trust me, I get it every day. That's okay.
The truth is, man, I had a stepbrother in the Navy, a stepsister in the Air Force, and a stepfather that was hard as woodpecker lips that was in the Air Force. And I've had various family members in different branches. I've got a cousin right now in the Coast Guard. So trust me, it's like anything else. Everybody's on the same team accomplishing the same goal.
That's it.
I'll do a lot of inter-service rivalry jokes, but I have nothing but respect for anybody that puts on any uniform in this country, and that includes firefighters, police officers, first responders, and that kind of stuff.
You'd be surprised how much fun we make of each other, but let somebody outside of the military say something about us and see how quickly we work together.
Exactly.
So man, tell me a little bit about your history in wrestling, man. Where have you been? Now, you say you come from Texas, but you're in North Carolina now, correct? How did that happen?
Well, actually, in all honesty, I'm from North Carolina. That's where I was born and raised. And my mother and father separated and divorced when I was 5, and my mom married a guy from Joshua, Texas, which is about 45 minutes south of Dallas Fort Worth. So I spent all my summers out there, and then just by a twist of luck, when I was put on recruiting duty in the Marine Corps, I went to RS Dallas. So I've been out there off and on all my life. Um, I was out there when I got out of the Marine Corps working in Waxahachie. That's how I met Coach Brooks. I started out there. I wrestled out there until late 2006 when I moved back to North Carolina. Sometime in early 2007 ish. Um, I was trying to think. The first place I started working in the Carolinas was HVW in Hendersonville for Gary, Viper dog, Joker man, and then I worked around different places, APW Spartanburg, APW Chester. Zach Zillow had about 47 promotions. I probably worked at every one of them for him. Tommy Tom Williams, Tom had a real good promotion, Marion, that I always enjoyed working for. Tom was actually one of those guys, man, that I wish he could have got the right money guy behind him. I think Tom had, as far as guys in the business that were actually workers, I think Tom probably had the best head for the business of just about anybody I dealt with. So, if you look now, Dash Swatter came out of there and a couple other guys. So, Tom was a good one, actually. So somewhere around 2009 or 10, I went into the oil field and I bounced around. I wrestled all over, everywhere from the Northeast, from as far north as New York State, all the way down as low as the Virginias. I've wrestled in North and South Dakota, Michigan, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma.
Wow.
So I've been a little bit of everywhere as far as the U.S. goes. I've never been any further west than Texas or Colorado. I'd still like to get out to Arizona and California at some point. I still want to get into Mexico, Canada, Japan before my time's up. So it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time, I guess.
So let me ask you, right now you are, I don't know exactly how you would give the name of your character. You're like Cowboy Randy Wayne, correct?
No.
How do you say
Uh,
that?
Moniker wise, I'm Outlaw Randy Wayne.
Outlaw. Okay, well, I should have known by your shirt, brother. I'm not reading correctly. Okay, so you're Outlaw Randy Wayne. Way back when you started, how many gimmicks have you went through to get to Outlaw Randy Wayne? Or have you always been some sort of cowboy coming from Texas? I mean, starting your career in Texas.
When I very first started out with Killer, I did a gimmick, kind of a. It was. I mean, it's always kind of been the same, but not really. It was. He called me the modern day cowboy, and it was supposed to be the modern day cowboy Randy Wayne, and Killer just shortened it to the modern day cowboy. And then when I moved away, I went with my own name, and then there's a guy. There was a guy that promoted a company out of Franklin, North Carolina, and Clayton, Georgia, named Jason Speed. We all called him Speedy. He ran TNT Pro Wrestling, and Jason is he's passed away a long time ago, but Jason really was the guy that I would give the most credit for the outlaw persona, the character, how I work, that kind of stuff. He's the one that kind of put that in motion. He started out with the idea to call me the Rising Outlaw. And, over time, the Rising got dropped and it just went to Outlaw. And I've experimented. I mean, definitely anybody that's watched or knows, I've experimented with a couple gimmicks. There was a mask gimmick, El Capitan de la Rata, that I played around with. And then some other ideas that just never took off, never worked, just weren't good ideas. And it always seems to go back to what I do now.
It just seems if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let me. We're kind of behind on this, so Brandon Ledford wants to know, where did you all go during your time in the Marines?
Well, I went to boot camp at Paris Island. I went to my training school at Camp Geiger, which is a part of Camp Lejeune, the School of Ministries, where I went. I was a grunt. I left there. My first duty station was 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines in Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii. I went from there to the School of Infantry and became an instructor myself. And then I went to 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. And then I went from there to recruiting duty, and then I got out.
Wow. How many
So
years did you spend in the
basically,
Marines?
9 years, 7 months, 24 days.
Wow. That's cool. Like I said, my father spent 11, so hoorah, man.
I stayed in just long enough to figure out my recruiter was full of shit.
Right? They always are, man. They always are.
Right,
Eddie
right.
Butler wants to know who has been your toughest opponent as a wrestler.
Hands down, James Drake. Toughest sumbitch I've ever been in the ring with.
James Drake. All right.
I don't even have to hesitate on that one.
Cole says, I'm going to have to watch the playback due to work, ask some good questions. I always try to ask good questions, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Dexter Meyer says, I can still feel the chop that Randy Wayne gave Mason Moore at CPW back in July. My ears are still ringing.
That was April, but maybe the repercussions give him concussion problems too. I don't know.
Dexter Myers, you can see more of Randy Wayne at Heroes to Legends and Pro Wrestling Union. And
I like Cole, man. He's a human plug. He's gonna plug everything.
He loves to, man. It's good though. That's good. He gets the info out there. How many times have you changed your gimmick? Have you actually changed your gimmick? You said you've come back to it, but
yeah, I would say that I changed it twice. I tried one for 2 shows at HVW one time. It was a horrible ass idea. I don't even want to talk about it. It was that bad. And then when I first started wrestling again in Texas in 2012, late 2012, early 2013, at Metroplex Wrestling, they kind of gave me a gimmick. It wasn't, I don't want to say it was an MMA fighter, but it was damn close, because I have a shoot fighting background. But and it gradually what that one did is it evolved back into what I do normally. So it wasn't like I just stopped doing it at NPX, but it graduated back to what I normally do. But that was the way they brought me into the company, introduced me.
David Cody said that show you guys were talking about was in April. So both of y'all both of y'all was wrong. Thanks for stopping by, David. And Dexter said, indeed. Brandon said, speaking of James Drake, you can see him on the WWE Network on Saturday. Yes, very awesome.
Absolutely. Everybody watching this needs to get on the WWE Network and watch that Evolve show.
Yes.
And give all the support you can. Because here's the thing. When I met that guy in 2007, I've been saying since then that this was going to happen if he stuck it out. And I couldn't be prouder, for the guy, both as a worker, but to call him my best friend in the world. And here's a little personal message to you, Drake. I want you to go ahead and beat Austin Theory, unify those belts, and bring them with you to Charlotte on August 17th so I can beat you for them like I did last time when you brought your ass to Texas.
There's a promo right there. Didn't even have to ask you, man. Straight out. Boom. Just like that. That's what I'm talking about. So, wow. There's so many questions swirling around in my head, man. So when you were in Texas, man, who was the biggest name you fought when you were a young guy in the business in Texas? Because there's a lot of big time wrestlers coming out of Texas.
And a young guy in Texas that I worked. Man, I didn't really get to work as far as like a name goes in Texas. My first trip through. To be fair, I worked guys that were in small companies out there. They were, they were over and everything. But somebody left the gym. Sorry. But my second run through Texas, man, I got to work Lance Hoyt a couple times. I'm 0-2 against Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, the American Psycho, Killer Elite Squad from New Japan. 0-2 against him, big sumbitch. And I'll tell you right now, I've never been clothesline harder in my life. So big props to Lance. But then I got to work Marty the Moth as well, and that was fun. The guy from Lucha Underground,
Right.
Marty Castus. So,
Right.
so I'd say those probably, as far as
Wow.
name recognition value goes, those are probably the two guys that I got to work that I would say were the bigger names.
Dexter Myers said, if you ever need a manager, Mr. Wayne, I know a guy. Wink, wink.
If I need a manager, I've got the Bad Street Beauty, Miranda Gordy. That's the only manager I've ever had and ever going to need.
Oh, nice. Rodney said, Scott, thank you for having the guts to share the indies. Man, it doesn't take guts to share the indies, brother. Let me tell you, there are people that do this. They might not do it the same way I do it, but there's a lot of people out there that are doing shows like mine. I just try to be a little different. I like to get the audience involved where others, will interview the wrestler and they might use a question from the audience or two, but I just put them all together. That's all. That's the only thing that makes my show different as of now. I guarantee you when this gets big and I start getting up there, other people are going to catch on and you're going to have 50 shows like this out there. So but Randy, okay, let's get back to this because this is awesome, man. So you're a Marine. You come out of the Marines. What in the world? Where were you when you said, "Okay, wrestling, that's what I want to do"?
I was 4 or 5 years old on my grandparents' floor, watching Roddy Piper get his face rubbed in the concrete by Sergeant Slaughter for Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Nice.
Came on Sunday afternoons when I was a kid, off of the Asheville station, 13 WLOS. I got two uncles.
Back in the Mid-Atlantic days, right?
Right. Yeah, I've got two uncles named Randy and Wayne that are they're about 13 and 11 years older than me, and I pretty much had every move ever known to man tried on me when I was 4 or 5. But I mean, I can say, I think a lot of guys that are in the business will say this, but I mean, the truth is, there's nothing I ever really wanted to do, ever, and that was really, I can tell you, like, when I made up my mind that one day, no matter what, I was going to make it happen. July the 4th of 1986, I went to a show at Civil Webster High School. It's now Smoky Mountain High School. The schools were consolidated where I'm from. And a guy named Brody Ray Chase, the Stray Cat, he was in the main event. And I remember Brody came out. That was back when Magnum TA was big and everybody was doing his hairstyle. And Brody came out with the long perm back of his hair and leather jacket, and he was that company's champion. And he came out to bad to the bone by Thurgood, and he just owned the place. Even as a heel, he was still the most overdue in the building,
Right.
And that was it. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be like Brody at that point. And funny story about that, and I tell some of the guys this. Some of the guys have heard it before. I went and banged on the locker room door because I knew where everything was. It was my hometown high school. And
right.
somebody come to the door, and I wanted to see the champion. And they're like, "We think you left, but we'll check for you," And I sat down on the bleacher right by the door and waited. And a few minutes later, out comes Brody, and he's got his belt on his shoulder, and he's got on this ugly ass Hawaiian shirt. He's got it unbuttoned down to about his belly button, When he sits down, and like, no joke, I mean, he was a heel. But Brody sat down with me for 10 or 15 minutes and just talked to me and answered questions, let me hold the belt, that kind of stuff, And I was only 10. I would have been 11 that fall.
Right.
And it made a really big impression on me.
So your eyes were basically this big the whole time you're sitting there, right?
Exactly. And then, for a guy to come out and, I don't know, he told me at the time that he was in the car there headed down the road, but, he come in to talk to me. So it was funny. Years later, HVW ran a show at the Whitmire building in Hendersonville. And they had Abyss on the show. They did a big elimination type match with what was called the Conspiracy, and then I can't remember what Gary called his faction, but it was some emo shit. But hell, it worked. I can't shit on it. It was over. So Brody was on that card, and he worked another friend of mine called Section 8.
Okay.
In one of the second half matches, and I remember, I was still intimidated by Brody even at that point, right? But I went up to him in the locker room and I was talking to him, and he listened to my story and everything. And then he pats me on the back and he's like, "Well, damn kid, I'm glad you got better." I'm like, "What?" And he says, "Well, they told me you were sick. That's the only reason I came in and talked to you." I was
Oh
just like,
no.
but anyway, yeah, that was. If I had to go back, man, that was when I decided by hook or crook I was gonna make it happen. I was gonna get into the business somehow.
That's awesome, man. What? Okay. Casey Leanne said LOD.
I don't think it was LOD. I think you're mixed up, KC. Have you been drinking, sweetie?
she'll have a retort for that. I guarantee it.
She's a woman, of course she will.
So after that, tell me the first time you actually walked into a wrestling place, knowing that you were going to get trained, or knew that the next step you were going to take was getting into the ring. How'd you feel that day?
Well, it was the day after I met Killer. I mean, I literally went out to his school the next morning, and I mean, it was, I guess, like anybody else, I was a bundle of nerves. I mean, it was Killer was very old school, man. Very, very old school. He didn't play any games. He didn't give any quarter. If you screwed up, you did 500 squats. Period. You know.
Oh,
I mean, we screwed up at training one day as a group, and you'd have had to have seen the old tin building barn that he had the ring in. But all we did that day was tear the ring down, set it up in the yard, tear it down, set it up in the building, all day. He just sat there and watched, drank coffee, and yelled at us.
wow. Now
So,
that's the training that was back when you knew you were training hard and you knew you had an old school coach. When the next day you woke up and you didn't even want to move.
oh man, I went to training on Saturday. I was off on Sunday, and I called in sick to work on Monday because I was still sore from my first training session. No shit.
I don't doubt you one bit, man. Because I'm telling you, man, that had to hurt. Because I'm pretty sure everybody made mistakes, especially the young people like you coming in for the first time, and to do 50 squats every time. Oh my goodness, I bet your legs were burning.
50, 500.
500. Oh.
EOD. There you go, KC. Now you're with me. Elements of Darkness. That's what it was. Elements of Darkness. Really goth, emo, dark, gloomy. I'm sad about everything. I'm gonna cut my wrist or whatever the hell it was. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But I can't shit on it because it got over. But at the same time, I mean,
there's a lot of dark factions like that get over, man. I mean, if it's done right, I mean, as long as they're not out there slashing their wrists or nothing,
I'll talk a lot of shit, man. But there was a couple guys in that faction, Joey Agony and Ryan Chaos, that to this day I think a lot of both of those guys. I really do. They were both really, really, really good guys, and they were at least decent to good talent, in my opinion. So I actually reached out to Joey a while back, trying to talk him into doing a little comeback.
Oh wow!
All he would say is never say never. So
that's the typical answer for a wrestler. No matter what. Undertaker's most famous answer of all time, and that's what he says to, and he's still wrestling today. But every time they thought he was going to retire, are you ever going to come back? Never say never. You never know. But I like that about it, man. I like that about wrestlers, man, because sometimes you just got to have the old school wrestlers come back and show these young guys how it was done, man. I mean, I am old school. I watched Mid-South wrestling growing up, and I enjoyed it, man. I was just watching it the other day. Jake the Snake Roberts, before he even had the snake, all he came out with was a cowboy hat and a leather jacket. And oh my God, man.
Before that, when he came out with like a karate gi bottom on.
Right.
With just wrestling boots. If you remember,
right.
he was in the very first actual ladder match ever booked in wrestling.
Oh, wow.
And if you go back and you look far enough, it's actually on his DVD set that the WWE put out. Yeah, Jake's one of my favorites. So
Yeah, I love watching all them old school, man. I'm buying them all on DVD now. I grew up on Mid South and Continental Championship Wrestling in Mississippi, so man, I could go back and watch that for hours. I'm more the old school. I enjoy some of the high flying stuff of today, but nothing. Back then, psychology meant everything. What you did in the ring meant everything. It wasn't just you were good at one thing and the other things you were kind of good at. Back in the day, man, there was a lot of well-rounded wrestlers. Would you agree with that?
yeah, and there's not now.
No,
now,
no, I
now
I
it's
agree
now it's go
wholeheartedly with
500
that.
miles an hour and get my fucking shit in. The hell with telling the story. What's that do?
Right.
So, but no, that's.
Have
I
you?
mean, you talk about the old school guys, and I just say this because it needs said. Part of the problem with the fucking business now is we're not policing our own. Guys that don't need to be training anybody and need to be somewhere training them damn selves are breaking guys in and training them. And I'm guilty of it at least one time too, um, and I heavily regret it. And I won't, to this day, I won't train anybody. Um, but that's the problem. Instead of stretching guys out the fucking door that need to stay on the other side of the rail, people are taking their money every week and then putting them in matches. And if you need another example other than Twinkle Toes, just go to any fucking indie show anywhere, and you're going to get a card full of them.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't give a fuck if the hair lips the Pope. It's just the way it is.
You got to tell it like it is, brother. I mean, I I am one of them old school people too, man. Because I always ask the question on here: How long have you been wrestling? How long have you been training? And I've had couple weeks, couple months, 6 months, a year, you know, and I've had some that say they didn't even touch the ring until 2 years of training. Well, you know, and a lot of them are saying, yeah, I did 6 months, but I'm learning every day, and But the thing is, it the learning should have came before you got in the ring. I mean, it's not that you're never gonna stop learning, but you should really know how to work a crowd, work, psychology, work the whole 9 yards in wrestling before you get in. You shouldn't be learning as you go. Correct?
Well, there's going to be a certain amount of on the job training. You know what I mean?
Right.
There is, but there needs to be dues paying as well. I mean, like I use my trainer as an example. Killer was just fresh out of the army. You know, riding around with his cousin Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes, and they went. He was basically driving them around. They hadn't been trained or anything like that, and they got to a show. Somebody no show, didn't show, canceled something. They needed a body for a battle royal. They asked Coach Brooks. He said, sure. He got in there. They beat the holy hell out of him and threw him right out of the ring.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, they started booking. Somebody give him a pair of boots. Somebody give him a pair of trunks. And he just started going in and getting his ass kicked. I mean,
Right.
so there's different ways to break in, even back then, right? What is lacking now? I mean, everybody's got an opinion. It's just my opinion. There's no respect for the art form as far as telling stories. I mean, hell,
Yes.
half the time you can't get guys to cut a fucking promo.
That's
Much
one of my
less
biggest
getting
things, man.
much
And
less getting
again,
ready to tell
everybody
a
get
fucking
ready to
story.
take a drink. Get me invested. That's the craziest thing in the world I've seen in indies wrestling since I've been involved in the last 2 years. Very, very few. And I could, of the ones that I've seen in person, and I got two hands that I can count them on, not many more, that have actually got me invested in something when I went to see them. I mean, what's the sense of going to a wrestling match, even an indies wrestling match, if you're not going to invest me in something, if you're not going to put yourself over as a character, if you're going to come out and be the same cookie cutter wrestler that I can look at on a video game and see, why wouldn't I just stay at home and watch a video game play?
That's why I don't watch anything now. I rarely. I mean, I'll watch Evolve because of Drake. I'm going to support my brother. Um, I watch a lot of indie stuff. I watch a lot of New Japan, but David Cody, I'll get you invested. I'll take your ass to Golden Corral.
He's talking about me. He's making fun of me because that's my big saying when I on #truth is get me invested. That's what drives me crazy about some of these indie shows, man. I'm a fan. Tell me a story, like you said. Not only tell me a story outside the ring with promos and things like that. Tell me a story in the ring.
I got you. Makes sense, man. I respect that. And Cody, don't get mad. I'm just kidding.
I love Cody to death. I love Casey. I love all them guys, man. You want honesty, they're going to give you their brand of honesty. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. I'm telling you. But that's okay. I'm a big boy with thick skin. I can take it. But yeah, tell me some of the other things that you don't like about the newer generation of wrestlers. I mean, if you could fix the generation today, what would you do to start fixing it?
I'd put about 75 or 80% of them back on the other side of the fucking rail.
That's an honest answer.
And that goes for refs, managers, announcers, fucking promoters. There's way too many money marks running around here playing promoter. way too many fucking wannabe Vince McMahons. You know, Thomas Simpson said it better than anybody I've ever heard in my life. Poor people don't need to be running wrestling shows. And
yeah, I agree because I hear so many. Now, what do you think about this? I've heard, it shocks me every time I hear this, man. I hear there's so many wrestling promotions out there that half of them don't even pay the wrestlers to wrestle. They're just sitting there wrestling to get experience in that. What do you think about that?
Man, I mean, I don't like it, but I did it. When I broke in, I'll tell you what Killer told us when he was training us, that if he ever found out we worked somewhere for free, he'd never pay us again. So why should he pay us if we work somewhere else for free? Thankfully he never found out, I guess, or he never called me on it that I worked for PCW, the old professional championship wrestling out of Arlington that was on TV in Texas for a while. Guys like Ahmed Johnson and a few others came out of there.
Oh, big guy.
But, man, I don't like it. I don't think it's right. And the guys that you see doing that, they're either old school carnies that don't give a fuck about anybody but themselves, or they're money marks that don't have any understanding or respect for the business, and they've never been in there and so much as took a fucking bump.
Right.
But for me, if you're good at something, don't ever do it for free.
Right.
And don't get in there and put your body on the line like this for nothing. It's even for experience. I mean, I really wish that I didn't do it, but at the same time, I mean,
there's a difference. There's a difference between doing it, when you first break in for a couple of times.
What did Cody just say? Because I didn't.
He said the same thing you did. If you're wrestling for free, it's an insult to everyone else in the business.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. What I don't get is, if you're working for free, okay, and like you said, I'm kind of repeating this again, but I've actually heard of some wrestlers who have went from going to free to going to another place and saying, "Hey, do you mind if I come wrestle?" Sure, we'll pay you $20. Whoa, you're gonna pay me? And if you give that reaction to a promoter, that promoter knows he's got you right there. You're never going to get more than $20 at his show, brother.
My favorite version of that is out in Texas. A guy named Mean Mike Tatum. He wrestled under several names out there. He was actually Stevie Ray's very first tag partner.
Oh, nice.
Tatum started up a company and he hired me to book. And I always found it amusing that guys would come in and throw me a much higher number than the place down the street that they worked at with me, and I knew what that place paid. That kind of stuff always makes me laugh. I mean, be consistent with your price. If you're a $50 guy, be $50, and whatever. But yeah, I don't have any respect for anybody as a promoter that's going to ask somebody to work for free. I don't give a fuck who it is.
Dexter Myers says, know your worth. And and we have David Cody on here, and me and David has talked plenty of times on the phone. We've talked on my show here plenty of times. I like the way that he talks about being a promoter and bringing you in and how much you're worth. He basically pays you for how many butts you could put in seats. I mean, he will actually do the math, and a lot of promoters don't do the math. I mean, if you know your
very
break
simple
even point, if you know this guy ain't going to bring in 5 people, and you're working at a $5 show, you're not going to pay this guy $25. He's not worth it.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, if you charging $10 a ticket, the guy wants $50. Is he going to put 5 people in your seats or not?
That's it.
You know?
It's easy math, but a lot of people don't understand the math. A lot of wrestlers don't understand it. Alex wants to know, do you have any advice for I'll just change it to young people who are training. He's a young guy. He wants to get into the business pretty soon, in a couple of years, and he wants to know what advice you'd give him to train.
What does he mean by training tomorrow? First off, is he already training somewhere?
He's 13. He's 13, so I don't think he's really doing any hard training, but he's.
Well, you're 13, so you can't do what I would tell you to do. But there's 2 places right now that I recommend guys to go to. Dr. Tom Pritchard and Glenn Jacobs have a school in Tennessee. And then the Good Brothers Dojo, where Tyson Dean is the head trainer for in Georgia. Go to one of those. I'm not gonna run anybody down. But if you're on the East Coast, that's what I recommend. If you're in Texas or somewhere in the Midwest, I recommend highly that you go to the Hybrid School of Wrestling ran by Chris Marvel. Guys like Masada came out of there. If you don't know who Masada is, you need to go back and do some study. Yeah, those are the 3 schools that I readily recommend to anyone.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at what Dexter just said. Alexander, tuck your chin and exhale before you bump. that was his idea of telling him how to train.
Don't listen to Dexter. Hold your breath, brother.
That's what I'm talking about. And David said the same thing we've been saying. A lot of wrestlers do not need to be in the business.
That right there is the gospel.
It kind of goes against my show, though, so I got to play devil's advocate. There are some wrestlers out there who have the charisma, who have the staying power, but I just don't know how to react to something like that, because it's kind of hit or miss. Who sets the bar is my question on that.
That's a tough question. I'm not even gonna try to answer it.
Yeah, that's the thing with me. People could always come to me and go, Scott, why do you have this guy on your show? He sucks. Well, he's getting paid to wrestle, so somebody thinks he's halfway decent.
Allegedly.
Okay, I'll give you that, but most of them that have come on my show, most loosely, I say that word loosely, have been paid to wrestle somewhere. So, somebody thinks
like fucking Twinkle Toes has made $10 in 20 years or some shit.
I'm never going to live that interview down, brother, as long as I live. And you know what's even funnier is I've downloaded every one of my videos that I've done here on Facebook, and I've loaded them to YouTube. And for the world, I've had 3 people who know computers better than me. I cannot download that video and put it on my YouTube channel. My computer won't let me, so it might be telling me something.
Even his fucking video can't work. What do you know?
I've had 3 people try to do it for me, and it won't download, man.
I take it back. I gotta quit making fun of Timmy Anton's favorite student.
Oh, I can't do this, man. Timmy Anton. Oh my goodness. Oh, have you ever wrestled at EWF?
No, I've not. I've only been back a couple months, and I only took 1 match while I was in. So, and I'm not taking anything until August 17th, and then after that, I'm gonna stomp the gas again. But when I moved back from Texas, my dad's health and some other things, I really just kind of took a step back, and Thomas and I are getting Heroes to Legends going, and that's a huge undertaking, getting something like this off the ground, and the show of what I say, the magnitude that I want it to be, September 21st. Um, I put a lot more concentration into building the infrastructure of the company, getting the sponsorships, different things behind us, um, and not so much on the in ring. I mean, I stay in the gym and that kind of stuff. David's right, by the way. Monster Factories, Danny Cage. It's another great school. Thanks, David. But I put a lot of time into just in the gym and stuff. But as far as in ring, I won't do anything until August 17th versus Drake. And then
Right.
I'm hoping hoping that'll be a catapult for me. Stomp the gas, and we'll see where I wind up. I mean, there's some places I just won't fucking work. It's just that simple. Right. There's people, I mean, they don't like me, I don't like them, we don't like each other, whatever. That's just indie wrestling. But for every guy that
isn't that one of the problems though with professional wrestling? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but isn't that one of the problems with professional wrestling? And I'm finding that out 2 years in, that there's a lot of egos in professional wrestling, brother, and it does not take much to hurt somebody's little feelings in professional wrestling. What do you say to people like?
I'm as bad as anybody, dude. I'll tell you, Randy Wayne is a below average worker with an above average ego.
See, but you're one of the few that are honest about it, man. Most people will come on here and say, the business is crap. They're crap. I'm the best thing since sliced bread, this, that, and the other. But, they're never wrong. At least you're admitting, your ego is bigger than who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure. Well, I mean, dude, I say that tongue in cheek. I mean, there's definitely some egos. But let's be honest. If you're going to come into this business and perform and entertain, you've got to have some level of ego, period.
Right. And a thick skin, brother. Don't forget that thick skin, because if you ain't got thick skin, don't even touch professional. I'm just doing a little podcast show. And if I don't have a thick skin, oh my God, I get murdered every day on Facebook, man. Well, your 3 people that are watching you, your show that you have retards on, and everything. I hear it all every day, brother. And I'm just gonna keep on moving because that's what I do.
And I give you a hard time, man, but I like what you do. There's another guy that you remind me a lot of out in Texas. His name's Trey Mack. He runs the Offshoots Network.
Okay.
And Trey has you and Trey have a lot in common, and Trey just wants to help the business, and I see that in you, and that's really why I agreed to come on. If I didn't think your heart was in the right place, I
don't have any kind of agenda. The only agenda I have for #Truth is I want everybody to rise together, brother. That's it. That's the only agenda I have. I've answered this question 1,000,012 times. Why this wrestler on your show, Scott? Well, he's an up and coming wrestler. That indie wrestling show. If you're an indie wrestler, you're invited to be on my show. Now, how well they are trained, how good they are with promos, that I have nothing to do with that. I just want to get them on my show and get them some, get them out there, and maybe somebody will give them a chance. Hell, maybe somebody will help, see something in them. And hey, come over here and I'll help you get trained because I see you're good at this, but you're not good at that. Let's lift everybody up, man. I mean, sure, there's going to be the, 5-10% that are just hopeless, and we all know that. But, there's always going to be a diamond in the rough somewhere. One of these kids that I've already, have already done an interview with, we might see on NXT in 5 years. And that's my end game, brother. If I look up and go, hey, I interviewed that guy before he became famous, that's all the pay I need.
That's actually, what you're saying is absolutely the truth. There's a lot of guys that came into this business. Everybody starts somewhere,
right?
Every one of us. So, it's like I said, if I didn't respect what you're doing, I wouldn't have agreed to come on here myself. So,
what is
Jesus?
I've got some. I've got plenty of questions. Besides, you haven't answered your door. No, I'm just kidding.
So I'm sitting at the gym still. So
Yeah, I know. I know. It's the people coming in and out. What is the craziest story that you have about professional wrestling? What is the craziest thing you've seen at a wrestling show? I've had people tell me there's been babies thrown. I've had somebody say that when a wrestler walked in, just the interview before this one, said somebody hit him in the face with a chair from the audience. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen at a wrestling show?
oh man. I really at a show, I don't really have anything too crazy. I've got one story that I could tell, but it would get Ethan Case divorced. No, it wouldn't get him divorced. I hope it was way before everybody's life.
David Cody, Ben Wright ain't that bad. Come on, man. He said Ben Wright's here. Everything's going to crap now.
I like Ben Wright, dude. He's all right.
I like Ben Wright too.
You gotta like gingers, man.
Hey, you're a real man when you come to the ring wearing pink. Let me tell you.
I don't know. I guess maybe the craziest thing I ever seen was that mess with Twinkle Toes, and I was involved in it. It's like, everybody kicked his ass that night. So I guess maybe that's it. I don't know.
Have you ever seen a shoot fight at a wrestling match where it became real?
I was involved in one.
Okay, well, what happened there? That's a story right there.
That was forever ago. That was another HVW story. I was really a misunderstanding, honestly. And looking back, I think a lot of it was probably the promoter playing me and the guy involved in it against each other, play in the middle and stuff like that. Basically me, you know who Elite is. He and I got into it after a match. The promoter sent him out. I didn't know he was sending him out. I didn't take kindly to it. We got in a fight, I've seen a few that I wouldn't call them shoot fights. I've seen a few guys get stretched or taught a lesson, taught some respect. But like straight up shoot fights, it's not something I've seen a lot of.
Wow. Dexter's trying to write a book on #truth. I'm just saying. Promos are an art form and in their own. I'm thankful for guys like Perry James that have helped me and continues to help me improve my craft. Guys like David Cody who will tell me when my ideas are good and when they suck and takes the time to explain why. Now, we live in the world of wrestling, man. We don't have to explain why. It just sucks.
Well, as far as promos go, for me personally, I'm going to give Ricky Regal the most credit for helping me develop a promo style. The guys that I watch a lot I watch a lot of old, not recent stuff, but his old stuff, like the Florida Cracker promo with Terry Funk. Some of Terry's promos from WCW, I pay a real close attention to, especially when he did that short run against Ric Flair. Arn Anderson's promos, Jake Roberts' promos. Those three guys, they never raise their voice, they never scream, they never yell. They just, they tell you the
good old Dusty Rhodes is another one.
Yeah. Everybody liked Dusty's promos, and I respect it because he was one of the best on the stick. It's just not my style.
Right.
I'm more of a deliberate talker.
And that's one thing that a lot of these young guys don't understand, because we'll have them do a promo on #truth. And a lot of guys don't understand that timing is everything when you're doing a promo, man. Anybody can really talk. Anybody can talk. But you got to have timing. You got to have, it's all in your delivery. And if you're just sitting there rambling, I'm really not going to pay that much attention to you. But if you have something to say, that's where the great ones really, when they got the mic, it wasn't just, hey, I'm coming after you. They told a story while they were cutting a promo. You know what I'm saying?
And another thing that guys don't understand is burying your opponent. Why in the fuck are you going to bury your opponent and tell everybody how bad he sucks in a promo? When you turn around and beat him, you didn't fucking beat anybody. And if you do beat him, who'd you beat?
Yeah. See, now I have to give props to the guy who we just interviewed, CJ Evans, because he did 2 promos on the show, and both times he did exactly what you said. He didn't down them. He said that guy's a great fighter, but he's going to find out why I'm the human highlight reel, and I like that. It was really well done.
Gotcha. That's cool. I didn't get to watch it because I was working out, but
Yeah, you're a busy man, man. I understand. I'm just glad we finally got together. I think this is the fourth time that we've scheduled Randy Wayne to be on hashtag Truth, and like I said, it was sometimes it was me, sometimes it was you. Family comes first, though, brother, and I have no problems with that whatsoever, man. All right, guys, Randy Wayne. I know you guys got questions, man. There's people on here. Throw some questions toward Randy Wayne. Let's get into his head, man. Let's pick his brain a little bit.
Yeah, you got about 15 minutes and I'm out.
Yeah, it might be even shorter than that because this is my second interview. But have you ever tagged with anybody and thought, man, this might be a good thing, and it ended up not being what you thought, and went back to singles? I mean,
I'm not much of a tag guy, but I've tagged with guys that I thought, we had fun, but I'm just not a tag guy. I don't like it.
okay.
I did a tag in South Texas with Andy Dalton, Dirty Andy Dalton. We call ourselves the Dirty Outlaws. I tagged with James Drake, Lyle Superlaw, and Zach Zulo. We call ourselves the Violence Party. And that originally started out with me and Drake as a tag team, or me and Law as a tag team, and then it grew.
I would love to get some footage of Zach Zulo in a triple tag match with you guys. That would be something to watch, man.
I'll tell you what you can do, man. Go on YouTube and look for the world's biggest Bronco Buster. Just dig that up.
World's biggest Bronco Buster.
Yeah. There's a video somewhere. I tatered the shit out of Zach in a match at HVW, and he got pissed off and give me a fucking Bronco Buster, and I literally saw my life flash before my eyes. Thank God he was about 200 pounds lighter back then too. So, but still, yeah.
That's some crazy stuff, brother, man. Have you ever denied wrestling somebody? Have you ever walked in and somebody said, "Hey," a promoter said, "Hey, this is the guy I want you to fight tonight," and you look at it and go, no, it ain't happening.
No, I've never done that, but I've been to a couple shows when I've walked in and I've looked at the ring and thought it was unsafe. Or, one time I got there and the guy didn't have my money. I just put my shit in my car and left. But as far as not working somebody, no, I've never done that unless I've forgotten it and somebody's asking that to catch me on it. Have
you ever had somebody so bad that you were wrestling against? I mean, so bad that afterwards you were just like, man, never again.
Yeah, I think everybody had that happen, man.
Oh, come on! There's got to be a story somewhere in one of these. I mean, have you ever fought someone in the ring or had a match with somebody in the ring and thought, man, this could be a main event at a pay-per-view, man. This match was so awesome. I can't believe I'm doing it only in front of 100 people.
Every time I've been in the ring with Drake, easily.
There's just some wrestlers that are like that, isn't there? There's just some wrestlers that make everybody look good.
Working with Drake's not work, man. Working with Andy Dalton's not work either. Jerome Daniels is another Texas guy that, man, he's smooth as a prom queen's thighs. So, Hoyt's another one. Lance Hoyt, man. If anybody ever gets a chance to work with Lance, man, I mean, he hits really hard, but that's just on the job training at its finest. If you'll listen to him, yeah. Tyson Dean's another guy. Man, I'd work Tyson Dean 7 days a week. Some guys are just, they're trained right. They know what they're doing. But like I said before, Drake's Drake's not only my toughest opponent, but he's also my favorite opponent. That match with had Randy had Mason moves like that. Yeah, I enjoyed that match with Mason um, quite a bit actually. I mean, I didn't like the. I don't know if I really want to go into that or not, but I didn't really like the politician.
We're on hashtag truth, brother. Come on, you can go into anything.
I'm gonna leave that alone. David knows what I'm talking about, but I mean, I like
Okay.
Mason. I like working with him. I thought we had a good match. We told the story. That was the important part. Was going out there and telling the story start to finish. You know, and then yeah.
My
Butterfingers. Now you do again. Your gimmick is a cowboy outlaw. Have you ever had any like cowbell matches or rope matches or things like
Yeah,
that? Any stories in there that come to mind?
I've had I forgot how many bull rope matches I've had, man. A cool one did a bull rope match with a guy named Graham Bell, who's a Midwest guy. He come down to Texas, and it was the first time that Miranda actually came out in a match of mine, and it kind of linked us together. She started managing me, so that one was cool. I mean, it was a real basic match. I mean, it was touch all four corners, and he was dragging me. He'd touch a corner, I'd touch a corner. He didn't realize it. We rounded the third one, going to the fourth one out. She comes. I clobbered him with a bell, hit the corner, won. Me and her got out of Dodge, went to the bar. She is a Gordy, so go figure.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably, I would say that match of all the bull rope matches I've ever had, the one with Graham is probably my favorite, hands down. Graham is another guy that I didn't think about earlier, but he is a great opponent. The guy, he studies and he understands the business. He understands his character. Cut a promo with anybody. So yeah, if you're a promoter anywhere, listen to this, and you're not booking Graham Bell, Andy Dalton, Jerome Daniels, or James Drake, you're doing it wrong. Go back, start over, try again.
I like that. I love that. That's the way to be right there. I mean, because I've asked a lot of promoters. I've had some promoters I've talked to on here. I've had some owners I've talked to on here, and I've had wrestlers on here, and I've asked them, where do you put yourself in? If someone were going to book a show tomorrow, where would you put yourself right now for the number of years that you've had wrestling? Are you a first match guy? Guy that comes in. Are you a mid card guy, or are
Stop.
you okay?
Stop right there.
Okay.
Right there. Here, I'm going to stop you, and here's why.
Okay.
The first match on the card is the absolute most important match on the card.
Okay. I understand why. I know why, but
Well, I'm glad you do. So, as a booker, if I put you in my first match, I have all the confidence in the world in you. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I know.
Because
The
I know
first
you
match is the
started
match
off
that
right.
gets the crowd going, that gets everybody hyped, that gets everybody into, wrestling. So yeah, I understand why it's the most important. I get it.
So for me, where would I put myself? I mean, I can, I can work any match on the card.
All three, right.
The catch to that is getting there. What do you need out of me? This is what you need. Okay, bam, I'm gonna go do it. And I don't care if it's the first match or the main event. You're gonna get my best effort, and I'm gonna steal a damn show, or I'm gonna wear myself out trying, or chop my opponent's chest off trying. One or the other.
What kind of wrestler are you? Are you the wrestler that comes in and greets his opponent and you guys go through move to move? Are you tell me the beginning and the end kind of wrestler? We'll fill in the middle while we're in the ring. What kind of wrestler are you?
It doesn't really matter to me. It's a match to match type of thing with me on how I go.
Okay.
I go from there, situational type of thing, I guess you'd say. I mean, yeah, match to match. That's a case to case basis.
Have you ever had a promoter come up to you and say, "Hey, this is how I want the match to end"? You go through a table, or you go through this, or you say, that ain't gonna happen."
I mean, I've definitely had disagreements with promoters, with bookers, where something didn't make sense, or where I thought there was something better to get the point across, and a lot of times it depends on the promoter, the booker. Some guys just aren't going to listen to you. Um, but most of the time, if you go to guys and you tactfully tell them, hey, this is kind of what I had in mind, you can meet in the middle or, something, compromise to where everybody's happy with it. But, just going out and just refusing to do what you're being paid to do, I've never done that. And I
Right.
and I think that's unprofessional as hell of somebody to do that.
Right.
I mean, if you're a professional wrestler and you're getting paid, if you get paid what you were promised, you agree to be there for that amount of money. Go do your fucking
Right.
job. If
There you
not, get in your
go.
fucking car, go home, and don't come back.
There you go. Have have you ever been in a match? And I've asked every wrestler this, and I've gotten different answers. Have you ever been in a match where like everything has gone wrong in this match that it could possibly go wrong? I mean, have you ever had one of them days where you wish you had never stepped through the ropes?
Yes. There was a benefit show for a friend of mine in Texas. He called him Mr. Wobble. Um, I wrestled a dude out there named Marcus Rose, and I mean, from the minute I walked through the curtain, I wanted to be anywhere but there. Um,
It was that bad.
it was the absolute screaming shits. And I mean, I'm not even gonna point fingers. It was bad, and it was one of those nights where, like, literally, I've not had many nights that made me question myself as a worker, but that was the one where I was like, nope, I'm in the wrong line of work. So
Man, oh man. I'm gonna give last call for questions for Randy Wayne. So if you guys that are still watching want to ask anything, last call. I'm gonna ask him a couple more questions, and if you don't have any more, I'm gonna bid him a farewell. So last call for questions, guys. But have you ever wanted to wrestle somebody in the business and and it just never happened? Like your paths never crossed?
I mean, I said forever that I wanted to work Terry Funk, and that's obviously it's just never going to happen. I mean, I met Terry. I worked the WrestleMania, Terry Funk's WrestleMania barbecue show one day. Did Mania in Texas. Got to drink some beer with him, do some shots, but never got to work him, and that was a dream match. And I would have. That was one time where I would have worked for free just for the on the job training aspect of it.
Right. I
Um,
saw a match. The last match I saw with Terry Funk in it was in the WWE. It was a pay-per-view. I can't remember which one. It was a tag team match. It was a dumpster tag team match.
yeah, I'm
And
familiar with it.
yeah, they hit him so hard in his ribs and his back. Did you see his ribs and his back? They had pictures on like Facebook and all that the next day. His back and his ribs, I mean, were black and blue. I don't know what happened during the match that made him that way, whether it was a fall or what have you. But
If I'm not terribly wrong, I think it was sidewalk slam into a chair that was set out open that did that.
okay,
I,
'cause,
I
man,
believe.
I didn't get to go back and watch it, but I just saw it right at the end of the match. You could see it. When he's crawling on the floor to try to get away from one of the other. I can't remember who they were wrestling, but
The New
they
Age
were.
Outlaw, Billy Gunn and
Yeah,
Road Dogg, and they wound
yeah.
up
That's
putting
who
him
it
in the
was.
dumpster, rolling him off the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it. But he was crawling on the floor trying to get away, and his shirt flapped up, and you could just see that. I mean, the bruise was, I'm not even joking, the bruise was this big.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it was kidding. It was kidding. Listen to me. I'm not kidding. It was that big. David Cody said, if you close your eyes and listen to Randy speak, it makes me swear that he's going to ask for some biscuits and mustard. There's got to be a story there. What's that all about, man?
I mean, there's no story there that I know about. I guess I just sound country as a fucking turnip green, is what David's trying.
Never heard that. That's good. All right. So you fit your gimmick just right then. I mean, if your country's a turnip green, man, a cowboy, I mean, have you ever had somebody who crapped all over your cowboy gimmick? I mean, they just didn't want it, didn't like it.
Zach Zulo.
That doesn't surprise me, brother. That really doesn't. Did you wrestle for him as another wrestler, another name or something, or
Oh, he
did you just
never.
tell
I
him?
mean, he never told me not to do it. He just shit all
Right.
over it. I mean, it's whatever. That's why Oscar called him burrito underwear.
Burrito. Oh my
No,
goodness.
that's not why Oscar calls him burrito underwear. But you get it.
Randy Carpenter said sling blade. I don't know what that's all about. Randy, you're gonna have to tell me. You're gonna have to elaborate, brother. I have no idea what you mean.
Have you ever seen?
Oh,
yeah,
he
exactly.
says you sound like Carl from the movie Sling
Yeah,
Blade.
yeah. Mom and Daddy used to tell me them Bible stories. Yeah, I get the joke. Funny.
Yeah, right. Somebody's, that's the one good thing about wrestling. If you, like I said, you got a thick skin, man. People are gonna rib you, but they'll take it back, and that's one thing that I enjoy about doing this. Is people make fun of each other, and at the end of the day, they go home, they rest, they get up next day, and it's a new day, man. It's the people that get into the business and their butt gets hurt every time somebody says something that they don't agree with.
James McComb. I mean, what?
Okay. What is my goodness? Well, Randy, it was a pleasure having you on here.
I thought there was a question. What was it?
What? I was gonna. It was the same one. It was the same thing about Sling Blade.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna go over that. I realized it was the same thing, so I'm not gonna put 4 different things up there that are the same thing. But do you have any? Are you gonna be anywhere in the near future? Are you booked anywhere?
All right, now the gathering in Charlotte, August 17th versus James Drake, and then September 21st in Sylva, North Carolina. Heroes to Legends Wrestling is doing a show in memory of my first cousin, Danielle Ash. She died from an overdose a couple years ago. Proceeds are going to the Julian F. Keith Alcohol, Drug, and Abuse Treatment Center out of Black Mountain and to Appalachian Christmas Outreach, which is a program that gives Christmas backpacks to needy children in Jackson and Macon County in North Carolina. Um, we actually got into the school system with the DARE program. We're partnered with the DARE program out of the Jackson
Nice.
Sheriff's Department to go in during assemblies to the elementary schools and tell Danielle's story. Said that at the National Guard Armory, and so I'm trying to think of any other details. Follow the Heroes Legends Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The details will be coming. Match announcements will probably start late August. That kind of thing. I can tell you that Travis Lee, Jeff Conley, Savannah Evans, Kenzie Page, Patrick Scott, Tracer X, Chris Fix, Josh.
That's a good card, man.
Myself, Tyson Dean. All those names are booked and confirmed. So yeah, it's going to be, I want it to be a big deal. We worked real hard the last. I mean, we started 4 months out. We got 2.5 months left, and absolutely. I mean, right now we're sitting on 18 paid sponsors. So we're building the infrastructure of the company through the community, getting involved in the company, not the company, the community, as far as philanthropy goes.
Right.
Kind of, the idea is to work and do charity work through using wrestling as a tool. So,
there you go. There's never anything wrong with that, man. You guys put any posters out, or if you do have posters out, man, hook me up with those, and I'll be glad to put them out there for you.
We get off here, I'll send them to. We get off here, I'll send 2 to you.
Okay.
That now we just got our title sponsor, Caldwell Trucking and Excavating out of Waynesville, North Carolina, picked up the title sponsorship. So we had to redo the 2 main posters.
Okay.
I have those now. I'll send those to you tonight.
Sounds good. I will definitely put them out there as soon as I can, and I'm starting to put posters up on my show. I'm trying to figure out right now when's the best time to put them up, but upcoming event posters I will definitely be showing during my show pretty soon. I did a trial run a couple of shows ago, but I'm definitely gonna if you do have a poster of an upcoming event, send it to me. And I will try to get it up here on #Truth. I'm trying to help everybody out at the same time, give everybody the same amount of time, man. And I want everybody to promote their local indies wrestling shows. And when you have shows, especially that are charitable, and these wrestlers are coming in and working for free to pay off these to give the money to the charities. And you have a lot of these wrestling shows that are for people. Man, those are the shows to really go to. Also, what do you got to say, Randy?
Well, to be clear, the September 21st show, we titled it Danny's Fight. Nobody works for free for Heroes and Legends of Wrestling.
Oh,
This
okay.
doesn't happen. Those guys, everybody on that card is being paid to work that show.
Okay.
So I don't. The way if I'm going to do a fundraising show, the guys are still going to get paid. If they choose to donate their payday, that's on them. But
Okay.
nobody's going to work for
I got
free. I
you.
don't know what the situation is.
That's awesome, man. That is totally awesome. That's the way a booker should be, or a promoter, or and everyone on down the line. That's going to make a lot of wrestlers come wrestle, man. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, there might be a lot asked to wrestle. That don't mean I'm going to book a lot. I know what I
want. You want the good ones. I get it, man. There ain't no shame in your game. Randy, I appreciate you stopping by, brother. You can come back to Hashtag Truth anytime you want, man. Come back, promote one of them shows when it gets closer to the due date. I'd really appreciate that, man.
All right, man. I appreciate the platform. I enjoy talking to you tonight.
Anytime, man. Anytime at all. We're going to sign off. We'll see you guys tomorrow night on Hashtag Truth.